As New Zealand vintners prepare for their grape harvest, spare a thought for growers over the ditch. Crisis talks have been held in the Riverland region of South Australia, which supplies almost 70% of the country's crush. The growers, who mostly supply bulk wine producers, have also staged protests about the rock-bottom prices they've been getting for their fruit, and reports say many are throwing in the towel, leaving grapes on the ground, moving into pumpkins, or spraying their vines to stop them germinating. Our guest this week is Chris Archer, who works in both the Australian and New Zealand wine industries as a winemaker and consultant, and is co-owner of niche New Zealand-based wine company Joy.
Chris, how serious is the situation for wine growers at the moment in Australia?
I think it's a pretty tough time for them, actually. It's an industry that has known a lot of booms and busts, but this one's been a big one, and it's been coming since 2020. Effectively, when China, they were Australia's largest exporter of about 20% of their volumes, and that got turned off in 2020 due to high tariffs that was politically motivated, and the industry's been absorbing that, but effectively there's 163 million litres of wine made every year that has got no home to go to.
Is it all down, though, to Australia's battle over tariffs with China?
There's other trends as well. You've got pretty much the traditional wine markets around the world are all facing decline in wine sales. You're looking at Australia around 12%. New Zealand's similar, and it's more these markets are still drinking the same or more alcohol. It's just that the younger generations are moving to spirits and RTDs.
And cost of living, is that having an effect?
I believe so. I mean, these spirits, are quite cheap to manufacture. But I think it's also a change of trends. Like these demographics have been actively marketed to by companies, and the numbers of their success really. The damage that's happening at the moment in Australia is in that production-driven wine, which is, that sub $15 a bottle wine, which is kind of like the daily drinking of the market. And then that is where it's all starting to shift away. And that's the high volume of the industries. And so, these poor grape growers in Renmark, I mean, they've been supplying wines for the last 30, 35, 40 years. And it's all been good because the industry's been expanding, but now there's an industry in decline, and the first ones to go, unfortunately, are the grape growers, because the wineries, they have their own grapes that they make as well. Typically in Australia, you're looking at about 33% of the wineries own their own vineyards, and so they use the grape growers as a supplement to move their volumes up and down depending on the sales to market.
And are we talking just about the bulk suppliers here?
There is trends that they're saying that the premium side is plateauing as well. And again, I guess, the people who are drinking these high premium wines are getting older, and the younger generations are coming through. I'm probably looking at more premiumisation of spirits and not wine. And so, I mean, our industry thinks that they'll come back, and I hope they do. But there's certainly going to be a rejig of the structure of the traditional wine business model.
So what's the likelihood of New Zealand growers suffering the same fate as their Aussie counterparts?
We've got a dominance in Sauvignon Blanc. It's 70% of our planted land area, and it's 80% of our volume. So we're a one-horse pony, effectively, and that makes us vulnerable. And we had a bit of a glitch, in 21 when we had, Marlborough had a 20% decrease in crop. What happened then is that we couldn't supply the markets that we'd fought for the last 20, 30 years. And so those markets, instead of having an empty shelf, will just look to South Africa or to Chile or to North America to fill that spot. And once they've got that spot, it's really hard to get that back. And that's what the industry's doing now, is to, re-hit those shelves. But the problem is that, there's good quality wine around the world, and it's a battle.
You yourself have moved from producing bottled wine to canned wine. Obviously a niche market here, but you saw a consumer trend.
Yeah, I saw, that we started this 10 years ago, and we saw that the wine industry weren't catering to smaller volumes, to people who wanted portion control. And so that's been very much our focus, and especially in these times when there's, people are being more health conscious, drinking less. The smaller portions are definitely a really good option for them. And further, the whole aluminium recycling, the technology there, and the can is way superior in environmental footprint, recycling, and it looks after the wine just as well as glass. So it's a great move for us.
Winemaker Chris Archer. There are hopes Australian wine will be able to start flowing into China again at the end of March, after a meeting between the country's trade ministers this week.